Hello class, today we are going to continue with Code.org, Unit 4, Lesson 3. We are working on the design process, and today we are going to focus on user-centered design, and we are going to complete a micro activity. We're first going to begin with our little warm-up, and as we are warming up our brains, I'm going to introduce you to a video. But what I want you to be thinking about is when you are designing for other people, I know it can be challenging for a lot of reasons. But one of the most important things is that you have to consider what another person values and likes and what they're concerned about. In other words, we are going to look at empathy for someone else. Today, we're going to do this mini design activity to help us practice the entire process ourselves. We're going to begin as individuals, and then we're going to move on to group activities. First, I want you to watch this video, and hopefully it'll give you some ideas for designing some smart clothing, because that's what this activity is about. So, let's begin.
We should have higher expectations of what our clothing and fabric can do for us. At some point, we'll expect it to actively perform and serve our needs. This is a heated jacket. It's a lightweight, normal jacket. It's not thick and bulky, and it gets up to about 120 degrees when you heat it up. Think of a turn-by-turn direction hiking backpack, for example. Imagine when you're hiking and it gives you a gentle vibration on either shoulder to tell you which way to go without looking at your phone and your GPS. Imagine a mattress that can wake you up by vibrating with that. Runners who are trying to stay safe, imagine something where it can sense if there's a fast-moving object nearby like a car and give you a nudge to help you get out of the way. I'm looking forward to when smart clothing or smart textiles aren't considered to be wearable tech, but they're just considered to be clothing. That's exciting. I'm curious what will come out.
All right, class, that was a great video, and now let's think about our objectives. At the end of this activity, you will be able to empathize with a user's needs to design an object. You'll be able to create meaningful categories from a collection of ideas, specifically in the context of brainstorming. Now, I would like you to look at your user-centered design activity. You'll notice that on the board or on this video as well, I have a copy of what it looks like. It's 2 separate pages. If you'll take that out, I want to go through this very specifically. So, the first thing that we need to look at is the overview. The overview section states the goal of this project. So, the overview is very important. The overview says, designing a product requires you to think about the needs of your users, even if those needs are very different from your own. In this activity, you'll be designing a product from the ground up for the specific needs of a user. The product you will be designing is a piece of smart clothing. For this activity, consider smart clothing to be any piece of clothing that also integrates computing technology. It might also have sensors that record data. It could change color or display information, or even connect to the internet. Push the boundaries of what's possible. So as long as your design meets the needs of your users, it is appropriate for today's activities. Please think about the video that I also showed you. If you need to go back and rewatch the video, you can always rewind this and do that as well. Our second section is the define. You will begin discussing ideas about your users and why you will develop the garment. Please find the define section on your worksheet. Notice that underneath define, you have brainstorm users. I want you to write on the piece of paper below as many different kinds of people as you might think of that could benefit from smart clothing. There are lots of examples. I want you to try to think of anybody and just write that down. And then the next one says categorize users. Place your user in one of the example categories, such as an athlete, a medical professional, an educator. You may have more than what I've listed here, but those are some good examples of what you could actually use and really go into that. The third is choose your specific user. Pick one of those categories and think of something that you could create a design for. Then we're going to brainstorm again. Remember, one of our objectives was brainstorming. We're going to repeat the brainstorming process to identify a list of potential concerns, interests, and needs of the user you picked. Think carefully about what might be important to those people. This is very important when you brainstorm on their needs. Now to categorize the needs. Now you've just thought of what they are. Now let's categorize them. So you're going to have to think of this and create categories of needs by grouping similar needs together. And last, we're going to choose specific needs. We're going to pick a specific need for that user that you want to address. Try to pick a need that you think could be addressed by smart clothing. Be creative in thinking about these needs. Now, the next part is prepare. This is start thinking only about that user. That's all you're thinking about. You're going to brainstorm again about ways smart clothing could be used to help address the needs your group has chosen. And then you're going to discuss the pros and cons. Once you've brainstormed solutions, discuss those pros and cons of the proposed solutions with your group. You should be having this conversation from the standpoint of the user. Use the specific needs you chose or the broader needs you have brainstormed to guide how you value each idea. Now, the next part is the try. Describe and create a paper prototype of the new smart clothing you want to invent. So, under the try section, the first thing you're going to do is you are going to write a description of your product and how it meets the needs of your user. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to draw and label a picture of your product, specifically any features that should be labeled with short descriptions. So you want to let me know where the chips are going, if it's weave in the clothing, what the material is doing. I need specifics with specific labels. Now, reflect. What's the reflect all about? Well, in this, we're going to create a 3-minute presentation to introduce this new smart clothing product to your class. So please be prepared to present. You will have 3 minutes to share what you created. You're going to have to tell me who your user is and what specific need you identified. The second thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to tell me the features of the product you designed. The third thing that I'll be looking for is how the features address the needs they chose. And the fourth thing, at least one feature of the product that might not personally have included, but is there to meet the needs of the user. So I hope this activity, I hope you can use this video to look back and reflect. And if you didn't understand something, you can rewind this to see what you needed to do. Remember that our references, you can always go to code.org and get your document. And the video I found on YouTube. Have a great and wonderful day.